Welcome to Two Errors, One Mindset. This is the place for younger adults and parents who are ready to build a better life, starting with their thoughts.
I'm Solomon. I'm right here in the mess of it, trying to figure things out just like you. I'll share what's working now.
And I'm Michael. My job is simple: to coach you through the biggest challenges using the mental tools that actually matter.
Every week, we blend my real-world perspective with my dad's professional coaching wisdom, giving you the playbook for confidence and control.
No hype, just clear steps. Let's roll. Today, Solomon and I are going to be talking about a great topic: the mental radio station, how your subconscious tapes limit your life. Solomon, what do you think of that title just to begin with?
It's an interesting one. Pretty
You think
interesting
people
title.
will find this interesting today?
If we make it interesting.
If we may, so that's our job. We need to make it interesting for everyone. Okay. So
course.
here's the question I want to start with. Have you, Solomon, ever had a thought pop in your head, a moment of doubt, fear, worry, and you assumed that it was your thought and it was you, your original thought? Have you ever had that happen before?
Plenty of times.
Plenty of times. Well, what if that thought really isn't our thought? Do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, of course. It's from something on the outside.
Right. So if it's not our thought, what would it be? Something on the outside. What is it that we're hearing in our head?
Well, it could be from something you read, something you listen to, and you start to think it's true just because you read or listened to it.
Right. So again, you're listening to a song and it's playing back and you're hearing the same lyrics over and over. It's a great song. You love it, but it's talking about how someone cheated on someone in a relationship. You might actually start to have these thoughts about people cheating, all because you've actually have this tape that's running in your subconscious mind. Do you think that's possible?
Very. It's very possible. It's a real thing.
So I was sitting in bed the other night and I was thinking to myself, how could I come up with a simple way to describe mindset to people so that they could really visually get it? Do you think I came up with something?
You came up with the radio station.
The radio station. Everyone understands a radio station. And so...
Well, not anymore.
Not
Not anymore. And no one listens to the radio anymore.
What are they listening to?
Apple Music.
Isn't that crazy? For the longest time, radio was everything. Now it's pretty much...
Yeah. I never listened to it.
You just play a playlist.
Yeah.
Or you listen to talk radio or something like that.
Yeah, rarely.
Let's break this down a little bit and then we'll have a discussion about it. To start off understanding the mind, the first thing that I want to focus on is a recording studio. So if you were to go into a recording studio as an artist, what would be the purpose of going into the recording studio?
To make a song, to record a song.
To make a song, to record a song. And then when you take that song, when it's completed, what do they then do with that song?
Put it in auto-tune or whatever. Something to make it sound better.
Okay, so they might do some editing, but after the editing's all done and the tape's finished, what happens next with that tape?
They put it out into the public.
They put it out. So a DJ, if we're using the radio station analogy, will then take that tape, will put it in and play it.
Right.
And what's the hopes of that play?
That
what do they
people
want to have
listen
happen?
to it. They want people listening.
Right. And they'll like it. And then when they like it, what are they going to do more and more?
Keep playing it.
They're going to play it over and over and over again. Did you ever hear a song that you like? You don't have to think about the words. You know them by heart.
Yeah. There's plenty of songs like that.
You don't even have to think about it. Just comes up and you literally could start singing the song without even really hearing it because
you've heard it so many times.
Because you heard it so many times. It plays over and over. And that's what they want to do. They want to take good songs. The DJ on the radio wants to play it over and over if it's good. And if people like it and they buy it, they're going to play it more and more and more. And more people will understand that tune and listen to it and know it by heart. That's kind of how it works, right? Now, if that was a rap song that was recorded, when the DJ has all his tapes, CDs, whatever you want to call them, on the wall.
CDs.
Whatever. However they're organized, but he's got to organize them some way, right? How would they potentially organize music? What would that look like?
I would think by genre. No? Rap, rock, pop.
Perfect. Rap, rock, pop, country. And you would take all the rock songs and you would keep them in that section. Why would they do that?
So it's organized so they don't get mixed up.
It's organized. He knows I want to go play a rock song. He doesn't have to look through 1,000 tapes. He goes to the section that says rock and he plays that song. It's
Right.
organized. Those are his archives, right? Like he's got it archived. He's got it organized so that he can play music easily and effortlessly and keep people happy. That's his job.
Yes.
So let's now look at it from the mind perspective. The recording studio, we have a microphone attached to our head, and every single thing from the time we were born until today, every single thing that we saw, whether it was our parents arguing, whether it was people struggling with money, maybe we watched lots of movies. If you're watching a movie, what would be something that could create a negative tape?
If it's a movie about someone dying or something really upsetting happening.
Perfect. Right. So you're watching a movie about someone who has cancer and you watch them go through this whole thing of dying and how they're sick and they're getting chemotherapy. We are recording every single thing that we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, right? It's
Right.
recorded. Where do you think those recordings go?
Into the back of your mind.
Yeah, they go into this deep part of our mind. It's as if we have a hard drive and that hard drive literally records everything. It
Right.
doesn't overwrite it. It just records it. And do you think that the mind tries to organize these things that we're seeing into genres like you were saying earlier?
Yeah, it tries without us even knowing.
Good point. So everything related to money that we've witnessed gets filed away in the money archives. And then everything related to relationships gets relationship archived. And so everything that we're seeing, it's getting recorded and it's being organized into different genres. And why would our mind do that? Why would it organize it into different sections?
Because our mind, I think, it's much more powerful than we think, and it can do things without us.
Yeah, and if I need to draw up something from my mind, I want to think about money. Wouldn't it be better if it was all organized? Oh, okay, here are all the money memories, and then suddenly they start getting served up to you.
Yeah.
Just like at the radio station, right? That's why we were organizing things at the radio station, because we don't want the DJ to be looking all over and trying to figure out where the songs are. It's the same thing with our mind. Our mind works in an amazing way. It organizes every memory that we have by genre.
But here's my question. You said money and relationships were your two examples. What if you have a thought that has to do with money and a relationship? Where does that go? Is there a separate?
It could probably be filed under both.
Both.
Because it has to do with both. So the money part gets under the money, the relationship gets under relationship. And then there may be a subcategory that's money and relationship.
It's like a little Venn diagram.
It's like a diagram. Exactly right. See, school's paying off for you.
Yeah. That was like third grade.
We never learned that in school, believe it or not.
Wow.
Okay. So are you with me so far?
Yeah.
So let's summarize that. So we have the recording station. The recording is set to our mind. It's recording everything that we see and it's filing it away in different areas so that it's organized and can be retrieved if necessary from the deep part of our mind, which acts as a hard drive.
Yes.
Those are the all make sense, right? Okay. So we have those two things. And then we have what's called the broadcasting booth. What do you think the broadcasting booth would be? Any idea?
When it comes out.
Right. So just like where the DJ decides, I'm going to play this song from this genre and it's going to play on the radio station, our broadcast station inside of us determines, I'm going to play this memory and these words, and that's going to serve up as a thought. Does that make sense? So just like on the radio, we hear the words of the song related to that tape. If we see something about money and we have all these programs, these tapes that are already recorded about money, we heard our parents arguing about money. We've watched all these documentaries about the world collapsing, and we're going to have these recordings all about money. And what's going to happen when we see that? What is the mind going to serve up for us?
It's going to go to the files and look.
It's going to go to the files on money. And all of a sudden, you're going to start getting these thoughts. Now, if you didn't know any better, where would you think those thoughts were coming from?
The inside.
Right. You think these are my thoughts. I'm creating these thoughts.
Yeah.
But knowing what we know now, that there is a broadcast station in our head, and all it's doing is serving up these past tapes that we've recorded, are those thoughts really our thoughts?
No, not at all. They come from the outside. They get stored in, and then they come back to us at probably a later time.
Yeah. So how important would it be for us to realize, just be aware that this is how the process works? Recording comes in, it gets filed in the archives under a specific area, money, relationships, etc. And then when we see something outside, bank account's low, this person's treating me really bad, it goes right to our archive tapes for relationships, for money, and then serves up all these thoughts in our mind. And we start to go a little crazy because there are all these negative thoughts, because there's emotions tied to the tapes that we've stored in. That all makes sense?
Yeah.
Well, now that you know that, what are your thoughts on it?
I think it's very it's accurate. It's a very accurate way of describing how it really works, because, if you hear a buzzword like you said, money, all these thoughts start to pop up, and those are thoughts that are stored in your head. It could be from years ago, and they come back up just because of that certain word. So I think it's a very accurate way of describing how everything's stored in your head.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And we have this DJ. The DJ's in our mind saying, Michael is focused on money. Let me go into the archives. I'm going to play some tapes around money so that he can have thoughts related to money. Now,
Right.
if those tapes were recorded when we were 4, 5, 6, 8, 9 years old, are those accurate thoughts that we're having?
No.
Why?
Because they're so old and they come from the outside.
So are you saying that they may not be factual anymore? Because if we were 7, 8, or 9 when those were recorded, perhaps those tapes are out of date and weren't really anything that made sense. They just got recorded and now they're playing back. And we didn't ask for them to come up, but they're playing. And now we're having all these thoughts around money.
Now that you say it, it happens all the time to me. That really does happen all the time.
It happens to everyone. And the thing is, that's what I'm praying from this podcast, that people will realize, if you just walk away from this podcast and say, I'm aware of the process. So the next time you start thinking about money and it's negative, or relationships and it's negative, or health and wellness and it's negative, you say to yourself, the DJ inside of me is playing the relationship tapes. He's playing the money tapes. He's playing the health and wellness tapes. Just knowing that and just being aware of that, how important is that? If you can just be aware that it's not you having the thoughts, it's just the tapes playing.
It can really change the way you look at things. It really can.
Yeah, how? You're 100% right.
Because you're realizing that most of the thoughts and ideas in your head, they're not coming from you. They're coming from some outside thing that you might have heard 10 years ago.
Yeah. So while we have all these thoughts every day, if we can have a realization that these thoughts aren't really my thoughts, they're just recordings that a broadcaster, the DJ, decides to play because that's what it has around money. We have all these memories. We have all these recordings. We have all these tapes. And so he's just going to pick from that genre and he's going to play them. And then we're thinking, why am I always having these negative thoughts around money? Does that make a little more sense now why we're having them?
Yeah, I think this should make sense to everyone. We've kind of dumbed it down. It's very self-explanatory.
You'll see people that do mindset work and they don't dumb it down. Why is it so important to dumb it down? And I don't even think it's dumbing it down. It's making it so that we can really understand it. Thank you for listening to our conversation today. Your support means the world to us.
Honestly, it does. We started this podcast to share what we're learning about mindset, and knowing that it's helping even one person out there makes it worth every minute.
Hey, we'd be so grateful if you consider supporting the show.
You can visit buymeacoffee.com/mindset1 and treat us to a cup of coffee. Think of it as a small, kind gesture that fuels our future episodes.
Now let's jump back into the conversation.
Because not everyone's an expert. If you're trying to explain something to someone who, they're not an expert. If I'm trying to teach you how to cook, because I know you're not an expert at that, and I started telling you, do this, marinate this, you'd be like, what the hell are you saying? But if I really showed it to you step by step and slowly, you might get the hang of it. I don't know about you, though.
No.
Other people, yeah, I don't know if you would.
Right, I might not. So you say to me, hey, Dad, I want to show you how to cook something. Now, it will scan my hard drive and say, what is it that you have, the programs related to cooking food? And if I have cooked food in the past, like I did for you when I made you that fish dish, which was awful.
Dish. Don't even say dish. It was embarrassment. Sorry. But
it was an embarrassment. That certainly wasn't my specialty. I was definitely not practicing that on a consistent basis. But
Still
again,
aren't.
If my recorded memories are, that's gross, and all these not successful memories and words around cooking, what thoughts are going to be generated? What tape is going to be played by the DJ?
Bad tapes like that one.
I can't cook. I'm not good at this. And it may not be true at all, but it's just the recordings that I have. What would happen if I decided for the next 90 days, I'm going to watch cooking on television and I'm just going to really learn how to cook? What kind of recordings would be stored in my mind now?
You're going to have knowledge now. You're going to have better memories when that word comes up, because all you're going to be doing for the next 90 days is watching and learning.
Exactly. And so let's say that I've watched for 90 days. You come to me and say, hey, Dad, you want to try to cook some salmon tonight? What might happen now with my thought process if it's now accessing all the new data that has been recorded in the hard drive?
You might think, oh, I saw a video last week on how to cook this perfectly. I can do it for you. Even though if you watched the video, you personally probably wouldn't be able to do it.
And what's the only thing that changed?
The DJ.
Right. The DJ is playing a different recording because there's a new recording there.
There's new files in there.
There's new files. And how did I get those new files? I played new videos on cooking and I watched them for 90 days. And in that 90-day period, am I at least going to learn how to make something?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Most people would, like I said, but I've seen you do. You might need 180.
Maybe I'll go for 360. I might need a full year.
You might need a year.
I might need a year. Just because the old tapes are there, it doesn't mean that we can't put new tapes in there. In fact, right now, when someone's listening to this podcast, what's going on in their mind?
They're creating some new files as we speak.
That's right. They're recording everything, even if they're not paying fully attention. It's going in, it's being put in the hard drive. They're now categorizing it under mindset or thoughts or thinking or positivity, right? It's being organized. And now later tonight, they go to dinner and someone says something about, I'm always having these negative thoughts. What thought potentially pops up in their mind?
They're going to think of listening to this, and then hopefully they can explain it.
And the only reason it's being served up by the DJ is why?
Because they're actually listening and paying attention.
Yeah, they're recording onto the hard drive all the time. So we have the ability, if we focus on what we're allowing in to be recording into our recording studio, if we pay attention to that, what do we then have responsibility over?
Our thoughts.
Yeah, we have responsibility over the tapes that are going to be recorded.
The tapes,
if I'm only focused on positive things, then all these positive tapes are now being recorded. And they're there. If I know that I'm struggling with money for whatever reason, what might I want to start paying attention to and listening to out there to start rewriting that stuff?
Positive things regarding money.
Would I want to go and talk to a friend who's not very good with money and listen to his advice?
No. Please don't do
Because if I
that.
listen to his advice, what's going to happen in the mind?
You're going to get the bad advice is going to be stored away. So whatever you think about money, all that advice that means nothing is going to come up instead of good
Exactly. You have
advice.
a friend, he's terrible with money. He says to you, "Oh, no, I wouldn't do that. You can't make money doing that." Now, the next time you have this opportunity to potentially make money, the tape around money pops up from that friend who knows nothing about money, but it's playing in your head as if it's your thought. And it says, "Yeah, I shouldn't try that. These things are risky. I better not try to build my own business." You didn't even know where it came from. It's coming from someone who really shouldn't be serving up advice.
Yeah.
But since it's recorded, what's happening?
It's playing. You don't even want it to play, but it's playing.
So knowing everything that you know right now so far, what are your thoughts around this whole thing?
Like I said before, it's true. It's how it really is, how it works. And I think it's important to take control over it and realize what you listen to, what you read can come back years from now and make a difference. So keep it positive.
Perfect. That is fantastic. Review really quick. Recording studio. We're recording everything 24/7. Literally everything
Always.
that we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch gets recorded onto the hard drive. It gets organized into different genres: money, relationships, spirituality, health, wellness. And then the DJ in our mind, when we see certain things, he says, "Oh, okay, he's thinking about relationships. No problem. Here are some tapes. I'm
Play.
going to play them." Now, here's the question. Now that we know the process, now that we're aware of it, what are a couple things that you think we could potentially do to help ourselves with these old tapes?
Well, there's one. The best way is to flush them out by adding in new tapes that are going to be better for you.
Flush them out. If I'm not great with money, if I start watching experts who are amazing at money and I just keep listening to them over and over and over and over again, what's going to happen to my tapes?
They're going to become expert tapes.
Right. And now when I think about money, what's going to be served up?
Good things.
It's going to be all this great advice coming from people that specialize in this, that specialize in money. And now I'm thinking in a completely different way about money only because I changed what I was going to allow to be recorded into my recording studio.
Here's
see
my
how this works?
question. I have a question about that though. What
Sure.
if you spend a while doing that with money, with experts, right? But then one day you hear someone say, these guys are frauds. They don't know what they're talking about. What happens in your mind then? Because then you're battling. You're
It's a
battling,
great
oh, is that
question.
guy right? Or are the guys I've been listening to for the last year right?
It's a fantastic question. The answer to that is, how much expertise does that person that you're listening to have when it comes to money? If for whatever reason they're smarter when it comes to money than the people that you've been listening to, maybe you want to start listening to that person more. But you really have to make a judgment, because what most people do is they'll hear a third cousin twice removed say, "Oh, no, that's a terrible business idea. I had a friend once that did that and they failed miserably." But this is a person that's not an expert on money, but it's still being recorded and filed with our money section, and it doesn't know the difference. It just knows here's a recording, and it's going to affect all those recordings around money. So that's what you do. You have to really balance, where is this information coming from? Is it a very reliable and credible source, or is it my third cousin twice removed?
Yeah. You go back to like one of the earlier, things we said a few weeks ago is this really true? You got to ask that when it comes up.
I'm so glad you said that. That was number 2. So number 1 is being aware. Number 2 is figuring out what sources are really good to understand and listening to them more often. That's number 2. And number 3 is when you having these thoughts about any of those areas, money, relationships, etc., you say to yourself, that's my money tape. And then you ask the question,
is this really true?
Is this really true? And what you'll find is when you really ask that question, you'll find that it's not really true. And if you're not sure if it's really true, ask yourself, who is the source that recorded that in? Where did I get that from? Was that a really reliable source, or is it possible that it just kind of snuck in there with all the junk that I've watched and done over the years?
Right.
And if that's a possibility, then find the expert and start listening to the expert and get programmed by the expert. And then all of a sudden you become an expert in that area. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. The last thing I want to talk about related to this, and then we'll call it this flew. We're already
Wow. 30
right. This
minutes
kind of
already.
flew, but I think it's going to be a really good one because it's going to be something that everyone relates to. The last thing I want to talk about is affirmations versus afformations. Okay, so what the hell is that?
Interesting.
Yeah. So we know that if we have an issue with money or relationships, we can use an affirmation. What is an affirmation to you?
When you say something in hopes that it comes true. No, like, you really set out your goals and write them down and repeat them and really get them stuck into your mind.
But your first response was actually right on. And that's what happens with most people. If I'm feeling like, oh, I'm really bad at managing money or I'm a really bad cook, if I say to myself, I'm a great cook, or I have abundance in my life, what does our mind have the tendency to do when it hears that?
It believes it. It does believe it, but you do have to take action. You got to take some action to make yourself better at cooking or make yourself better with money or whatever it may be.
100%. You actually absolutely have to take action. But is it also possible that the mind may not believe at first the things that you're telling it?
Yeah, very
So if I
possible.
say I have abundance in my life, but
It'll
I don't have
question that.
abundance in my life, what's
Yeah, it's like, what?
it's going to be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Affirmations are good if you stick to them and say them over and over and over and over and over again, even though you know at first it's going to be doubted. But there's something called afformations. Now, these are cool because essentially what you're doing, instead of saying, I have abundance in my life, or I'm a positive person, or I'm great in relationships, you ask a question, is this really true type of a question.
Right.
So the tape is playing, pick a topic. On which topic is it playing on?
Let's keep going with money.
It's playing on money. I'm feeling like I'm struggling with money. What kind of question could I ask myself, which would serve up proof that it's not as bad as what I'm making it out to be in these old recordings?
Am I really struggling? Is what is happening considered struggling, or is it just struggling in my mind?
That's a great question to ask. That's a great question to ask. And you could also ask a question like, give me 3 reasons that prove that I'm really actually doing pretty well right now. If you ask that question, what's going to be served up by the DJ?
Ooh, that's a good one. Because even now I'm stuck. That's a good one.
That's good, right?
Yeah.
Whatever question you ask in your mind, where's the answer coming from?
The DJ, the files.
So when you're asking a question, you better be sure that when it's being served up, it's good information, because what's the chances that maybe it's not going to be such good information?
There's definitely a chance.
Yes. So we have to prove to ourselves by asking these type of questions. For example, I feel like I'm struggling in relationships. I could ask the question, give me 3 reasons why I've actually been pretty good in relationships. Maybe it'll come up like, you're a supportive and caring person. You do this, you do that. And then all of a sudden you're getting proof, which goes against what the tapes are saying. When you use an affirmation, what do you think the advantage of that is?
That you're kind of in control, I guess.
More in control, right? More in control of an affirmation, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So these affirmations are really powerful because we're asking ourselves a question. And if we ask the right question, what kind of answer are we going to get?
We'll get the right one.
But if we ask the wrong question, what kind of answer?
We're getting a bad answer.
How many times during the day do people ask themselves the wrong question?
Too many.
And how many times during the day are they getting the wrong answer?
Too many.
So if we just pay attention to the questions that we're asking, because thoughts a lot of times are also questions. Like, am I really good at this? And then it goes right to the tapes. No, Mike, you're not good at it. You remember this time when you screwed up? Remember when you did this and you really failed miserably? And now all of a sudden you're like, shit, I'm not leaving the house. I just cursed. I'm going to have to cut that out.
No, you don't.
I'll leave it. But do you see how this all comes together?
Yeah.
The visual of the recording studio, taking in everything nonstop 24/7, the archives, the tapes, organizing all of the stuff that comes in, and the DJ who's playing it back based on whatever it is that we're seeing in relation to the categories that we have already set in our mind.
Right.
How powerful do you think this is for people to listen to? How many times should someone listen to this over and over?
Do it. Listen, keep it on repeat because I learned a ton just in this last 30 minutes. Now I'm going to look at it a lot differently.
Yeah, it's going to help you look at it way differently now because you're going to realize, wow, look at how many thoughts I've had that weren't really mine, that were coming from sources from my cousin twice removed who knew nothing about that topic. Yet, because I've heard it so many times, that's what I believe to be true. Now I'm
Right.
questioning it and I'm going to find a better source to get that information from. And I'm going to listen to that source so that my tapes get reformatted. And I have tapes to play. Well, with all of that, how would you conclude today? What would your message be to yourself and to all the other people that are listening?
Get the right things in those files.
Get the right things, and what's the best way to do it?
Surround yourself with things that are going to positive and that are going to motivate you.
Yeah, and people that know what they're talking about.
Yes.
Have you ever seen your friends, like maybe they're not good in relationships? They're all sitting around giving each other advice on relationships. You're like, this is the worst group of people to be giving advice on relationships.
Well,
It happens.
yeah.
I'm not saying your friends do that, but I'm saying people do that. And if you listen to it, what's happening in your mind?
You're going to become bad with it, with the relationships.
It's just getting recorded. You'll hear that tape play back in time and you'll be saying the same things that they were saying. The problem is these guys or girls or whoever aren't specialists when it comes to relationships. So the last thing they need to be doing is giving advice.
Yeah, a lot of people will.
We're the ones that are responsible. We're listening to it. It's coming in through the recording studio. It's getting archived, and the DJ will happily play it back for us. And the system keeps going, and that's where we end up.
And the thing with this is, we're talking about experts' advice. The advice that we're giving, you don't have to be an expert to give this advice because it's just the truth. What we're saying is just how it works. We're not giving our opinions. This is the truth. This is how it works in your mind. This isn't just our opinion. It's how it works.
You're right. It's how it works. This is the truth that we're speaking. And the way that you know it's the truth, because it's your experience on a day-to-day basis. Isn't that what happened for you? Like you start listening to the things that we're talking about and you're like, oh my gosh, this is right. This is what happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
Now the power is in your hands. The power is in the viewers or listeners' hands, because now we know we can react in a different way when those tapes start to play.
Yeah.
It's our choice. But until we knew this picture and how it was all working, we didn't really know any better. And we thought all these thoughts were ours, and we can't understand why we're always so negative. Hang around more positive people. People say that all the time, but people don't understand why it's so important. Because everything's being recorded on your hard drive. So the more negative people you hang around, the more negative tapes you're going to have. And then as you get older, it's going to be harder to get rid of those tapes because you got so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all I have for today. Anything that you want to close it with?
No, I think take what we said, get that in the hard drive, get that in the files. And yeah, I think you'll start to see some changes pretty quick.
Amen. And just practice. The only way you get better at anything is through practice. So the first thing you might want to practice is just being aware that there's a tape playing. Just become aware of it. Oh, that's a tape. That's not my thoughts. That's a tape. And just start doing that first. Then when you get good at that, then you can start with some affirmations or affirmations and start questioning them. Is this really true? Why is this not true? And it's a game. You just practice. But when you practice, you get better. And then before you know it, your mindset's really strong. And now you're not thinking like the masses, because unfortunately, the masses aren't thinking right. They're not thinking at all. The way the masses are doing it is they're just recordings playing back. If we're watching social media and we're hearing the wrong source talk about something, what's happening in our mind?
The wrong source is getting into our mind, and that's not what we want.
And we think that we know all about this topic, but we're listening to a bad source, and that's what will be served up the next time we hear that topic. So that's our responsibility, is really just being aware and starting to take action and practice. With that, I hope everyone enjoyed it. Solomon, always so much fun doing it with you. And we'll see you all next week. Have a great one. That brings us to the end of the conversation today. We truly hope you leave here with a few new tools for your mindset toolbox.
If anything we talked about today, from challenging your beliefs to taking that 1% step, resonated with you, we'd love for you to share it.
Our goal is to bridge the gap between generations. If you know a young adult who's struggling with self-doubt or a parent who could use a fresh perspective, please share this episode with them.
You never know which simple questions or ideas might change someone's entire week or even their whole outlook.
You can find our episodes wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you again for being a part of our mindset community. We'll see you next time.